By now, you're probably thinking of the most peaceful place you could be. Some birds, maybe some water, no noise, just sounds of nature. But have you ever thought about how close the line is between life and death? Maybe when you think of environment, you think of how close we really are, as distant as it seems. Maybe you think about pollution when it comes to the environment. Maybe you think about how close humans are to ruining nature when all that divides us is a fence and money. Let's talk about environment. Watsonville, California is a small community based in the heart of the Central Coast, right next to the Salad Bowl and also considered one of the strawberry capitals of the world. A heavily Latinx populated community, Watsonville is filled with horror stories of the pesticide abuse, legal violence, and lack of benefits and resources that undocumented folks face.
Now, the city is supporting a call to action for more communication from the Agricultural Commission about when possible harmful pesticides are used by growers. Our KION's Drew Andre live for us tonight in Watsonville to explain after speaking with the group leading this movement. Drew?
Well, so the way it works, Veronica, if a grower wants to use a hazardous pesticide, they have to get approval from the ag commissioner. But now there's a call to make that information public in advance.
So he says him and his wife tried to apply for the aid given to undocumented workers in California, but they were never able to get through because the phone line was actually saturated. He says if they would have gotten that help, the extra $500 for each one of them, then their kids could have stopped eating rice and beans and maybe had different kinds of food at home.
The difference it would make is that people can then go to the Ag Commissioner's website and look up on these notices of intent. They'll actually tell you what sort of restricted pesticide they're using, but also along with it, maps of where they'll be actually applying.
Okay, so I definitely just got done interacting with some people downtown here in Watsonville, California. It's hot today, first of all. But there are some conversations that have not happened for a very long time amongst other families. And, excuse me, there are so many people, men, women, like no matter what role you play in the family, you have been affected by cancerous chemicals in field work. You know, whether it's your hands or whether it's you plowing on a tractor, like whether you're breathing it in or making direct contact with it. If you were working in the fields from the 1960s to the 1990s, even as early 2000s, you were affected.
My mom has, over the last few years, struggled with her hands just because of how much she used them. And she's developed tendonitis and arthritis just with the years of using her hands in repetitive motions.
Oh, well, he had to stop working. He couldn't do anything else for the rest of his life. He basically became, in a sense, the nanny, which was great for the rest of the family. But it was rough on him. As a man, you're supposed to provide, you're supposed to do everything. In a Hispanic family, that's your job. And it kind of took his role away from him, so it's rough.
I think him and his family were always afraid to go to the doctor. So if any of them had illnesses, they would, whether they were work related or not, they were always afraid to go in and like get those things checked out, even if they like had the means, like the financially, to pay for that. They were still concerned about going in, because of their status.
Physical wise is more of like they're just tired. They're exhausted of working so much that they just want to go home and rest. Emotionally, I've seen them, miss out on important family events because of work. They're deciding whether to have food on the table or go and socialize with their family. And it's really hard on them because they really want to, be there for their family, but they also want to provide for their family. And it tears them inside. And they're just, debating every day whether they should keep on going or they should take a break.
If personal experience wasn't enough, while the articles are hard to find, one could find online news sources documenting and reporting on the overall mutual experience field workers continue to go through. Many schools in PVUSD are within 2 miles of farms, as well as the increase of chemicals and pesticides used for our city's strawberry farming. There is no surprise when the public responds in disappointment to the carcinogens that were believed prior to be safe. Birth defects, lifestyle changes, medical expenses, everyone gets affected. And as much as parents, students, and others protest against their use, if those in power to control results say they're safe, there's ultimately nothing that can even really be done. There are lots of men that have, declined being on camera as a result of their citizenship or lack thereof. A lot of people that are undocumented are really scared of talking to people and getting help, and I don't blame them because I know no one knows what resources are available in this city. No one directly connected to them have had successful cases that have been solved. And by that I mean, the companies, the big agricultural companies, these California giants and other ag companies here in Watsonville. No one has really granted a settlement. No one has won any case against the company that they worked for. There's just so much hurt in this community, and it's very heartbreaking to know that it's the same people that you drive by downtown every day. It was really hard to listen to a lot of these men. The same people that don't speak English, the same people that don't have any experience of higher education, the same people that grew strawberries and apples and every other kind of produce that Watsonville produces, like every family that has consumed these vegetables and consumed these fruits, etc., like they don't understand the hardships that went and came with doing that work. And I think that's really horrible. I don't really know if I'm making sense. I'm really hot and out of breath. I will say another thing that I noticed is, the abundance of murals around Watsonville. It's a lot of pride in what our agricultural community provides for the rest of the country, the state. There's a lot of that in very public places, but a street over, there's a shelter where there's plenty of homeless that don't have access to any produce, any type of food, any type of long-term living situation that they have access to. a lot of the time these families are the same families that are hurt at the cause of the produce that they're receiving, but also not exactly the same people that receive the help that they deserve in terms of medical treatment, legal treatment. There's a lot of legal violence within these streets, and there's a lot of help that is not being given. It just really sucks. You know, these people are in their 70s, in their 80s, walking to the plaza, walking through the city. No one will talk to them, only they talk to each other, and there's no help. Like, forget COVID, there's really just no help, period. The meaning of environment doesn't stop at the natural world in terms of surroundings or untouched ecosystems. It also includes conditions in which a population lives in, including human beings. I personally cannot drive through these streets without thinking of what changes need to be made and what changes could be made. How many bodies, how many cases? I just wonder what it takes for change really to be made in this city. Whether or not you own a small business, whether you work under a large company name for these farmers or other middlemen, these laws are not here to support you. The long-term effects of farm working and field working don't stop at physical pain. They continue at deciding whether to wait until their bodies give out or if their family can make ends meet at the cost of a day or two of rest. The effects of field working continue at the physical and mental abuse workers experience beating their bodies into working for a meager wage as a result of lack of documentation and inability to afford to legally fight for more without any repercussions. The city of Watsonville needs change for the sake of its people.